What's up, guys? Welcome to That Creative Life, and today I'm going to kind of do my final summary, the complete review of the Canon EOS R. So let's roll that intro and let's get started. Okay, so the Canon EOS R, this camera, the one that I use 99.9% of the time, is a fantastic camera. It is a Canon mirrorless full frame 30 megapixel camera. It can do up to 8 frames per second, but without continuous tracking. For burst mode, it can do 4K video with a real heavy crop, 1080 up to 60. It can do 720 in 120 frames per second, but with no autofocus and no audio. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons to this camera. I love this camera. This is my baby. But let's really talk about what I think about it as far as from a photography standpoint and from a videography standpoint. Okay, so first we're going to talk about photography. And as far as photography goes, this is hard to beat. It's 30 megapixel. It has plenty of resolution. The autofocus system is fast and accurate. There are certain times where it's a little bit more difficult, especially in low light. But overall, it is an exceptional camera for capturing images. Now, not to say that it has bad low light performance, it does, but sometimes the focus struggles a little bit in low light unless you really have your ISO cranked up pretty high. But this camera has served me well. It does everything I want it to for photography. Pictures are crystal clear, plenty of information to mess around with in post when you're shooting raw. The JPEGs straight out of the camera look phenomenal. There's nothing I would change about it from a photography standpoint, other than maybe fixing some of the autofocusing issues in low light. But overall, it uses the Canon dual pixel autofocus even for photos because it is mirrorless, and it is very fast and very accurate, and it can lock onto the eye exceptionally well. I've taken many portraits with this. I've taken many landscapes with this. I've had it for a while now. And if you are just a pure photographer, this is an amazing camera for you to get. Now, from a video standpoint, this is where things get a little more cloudy. I'll say up front, I love this for video. This is what I've been using for my YouTube channel for the past, few months. I love it. It works. The video quality is insane. The megabyte rate is ridiculous, which gives you plenty of information to play with in post so that when you start tweaking it and messing with it, you don't start losing quality. The 4K looks amazing. Yes, it has a 1.7 times crop, so you have to take that into account. So if I wanted to vlog in 4K, I have to use the equivalent of a 15 millimeter lens in order to get it to about 25.5. Still not as wide angle as I would like. Now, if I throw it in 1080, then I get the full 15, which is incredible. But it's 2020. We like 4K. I have found a way to make it work by using this with that 15 millimeter lens, but it is kind of annoying. And there's the rumors about the R5 having 8K uncropped, and if that's the case with that 15, it's going to be ridiculously good. But with this camera for video, what some of the other things that I like about it, I like the autofocus for video. It's Canon. It hits, it stays there, it works. It's pretty much flawless 99.9% of the time for video. ISO performance, incredible. Colors, amazing. It has C-Log. I love grading C-Log. It's so easy to grade and it looks so good and gives you so much freedom in post to make it look how you want. 1080 up to 60 for slowing it down. It's fantastic. It has beautiful autofocus still. It has sound if you want to use that for some reason. Now, the 120 frames per second that it does have and 720, no autofocus, no audio. It can be annoying sometimes because unless you've really had practice with that manual focus, it's not going to be the easiest thing to do. Not to mention, if you're trying to do slow-mo of like yourself while you're walking or something, it's not going to really happen in 720. Unless you're just like the king of making it look like you're not actually doing it. But as far as just pure video quality, it is hard to beat the Canon. The colors out of this thing are impeccable. The battery life for me has been incredible. The adapter with adapted lenses has worked flawlessly. I don't like that it only has one card slot. Being a professional photographer, there are a lot of situations to where I need to shoot redundant just in case something happens to one of my memory cards. I've only had one fail once the entire time in my career, but that one time, thankfully, was just a YouTube video. It was not a paid gig, but now I am more overly cautious and I have a backup solution in the field. Because of it, I have the RAV Power file hub, whatever you want to call it. It'll send pictures straight over to an external hard drive. Fantastic. It's like 55 bucks. If you have the EOS R and you've been looking for something, I recommend it. But this camera overall is fantastic for everything you need, for photography, for video, whatever. It has its quirks, but it also has features that you will not find on another full frame camera like it. One of my favorites is that. I love the flip out screen. That flip out screen has saved my life time and time again, knowing that I'm in frame, I have the proper composition for what I want. If I'm doing a video, whatever it may be, that comes in handy so often. This is the cheap adapter. It does not have any of the control rings, but it works flawlessly. I've not had any issues. Now, one thing I do notice is you do not get the full 8 frames per second burst mode if you're using the adapter with adapted lenses. It limits it to 5, but you do still have the tracking. Now, when I throw on a native lens like the 35 1.8 macro, then I can go up to the 8. Again, I lose the tracking, but it's nice to have that feature if I needed it. It does kind of irk me sometimes that I can't do anything faster than 5 frames per second in 2020 with this lens, because this lens is made for sports and stuff like that. So just a con if you've not used it. The ergonomics for me are fantastic. The hand grip fits all 4 of my fingers like a boss, because I got big hands. I love the way it feels. I use the Peak Design strap. These don't get in the way. I love all the extra buttons that I can customize it. I love how fast it is to change things in menus. Canon menus are some of the best. One thing I don't like about it that I never use is the touch bar, but it's not an issue for me because I just don't use it. I have it turned off. All of this being said, I have shot Canon, I have shot Fuji, I have shot Nikon, Panasonic, Sony. I've shot many different types of cameras, and I still always come back to Canon. Now here's the question. I've shot this entire video talking about this Canon EOS R. This video is in 4K. I'm not using an EOS R to shoot this video. If you already know Rafi, Austin, you guys, don't answer. But if you don't know what camera I'm using, drop a comment down below and let me know, because this is going to be kind of fun. But overall, fantastic camera. Get your hands on it if you can. I promise you it was worth it. Even in 2020, even with the R5 still about to come out, will I want to get the R5? Obviously, 8K uncropped. I mean, yeah, that camera is going to be a monster, but it's also probably going to have a monster price tag. And honestly, if this was the only camera I could have for the next 10 years, I would not be disappointed. I love this camera. It works flawlessly for me. If you have any questions about it, leave them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them. I love you guys. Don't forget to live that creative life. I'll see you next time. Bye.